Hi everyone, welcome to Gnan Cloud Garage. In this brief discussion, we are going to talk about the vSphere features. Here is today's agenda. We'll observe what is the customer challenge and solution, and vCenter alarms, alarm health status, alarm definitions, and triggered alarms, and finally we'll perform the home lab. Customer challenges. Currently, let's say until now we have learned how to configure the vCenter server, how to install, configure and manage. And vCenter server is mainly to manage multiple ESXi host. And we are already familiar with ESXi host installation, configuration and management. So let's say vCenter server is ready and we have added multiple ESXi hosts to vCenter server and we configured the networking, either vSwitch or distributed vSwitch, and we are configuring the storage, whatever the storage our customer is using. There's a specific storage we configured in our vCenter environment. Let's say this is all considered as a day one activity implementation task. So we implemented vCenter, ESXi host, networking configured and storage also configured. And whenever we need a high availability and also the load balancing services, we need to create a cluster, add our all ESXi host to the cluster. So this is a complete day one implementation task. Once the implementation task is completed, we have to give it this vSphere environment subject to the day two team. Day two team means operations team. So what the operation team will do is they will perform all the daily customer requests and any of the incidents on the vCenter server they will handle, and also the any of the changes they plan to do on existing virtual machines they can do. But here one challenge is, let's say in our vCenter server we have a 200 plus ESXi host and we have a 3000 plus virtual machines. There are the chances of ESXi host down, or there is a chances of virtual machine having unexpected issues, or we can also have a virtual center level performance issues, ESXi host level performance issues, and virtual machine level performance issues. In order to resolve these challenges, like in order to resolve your performance issues and also the down, up and down scenarios, what we can recommend is VMware is recommend to configure a vCenter alarms. Suppose here in this diagram, I given a some high level challenges here. Let's say we have in our vCenter environment ESXi host, vCenter server, virtual machine, networks, and data stores, and so on. There will be a chances of device down. So here device means ESXi host device or vCenter server device or VM. Any item we can consider as a device. Virtual machine also virtual device and network device and data store device. Any scenario, any down scenario, we require a notification. Okay, so that's the reason I highlighted here customer, technical consultants, or system engineers should be notified when the following issues happen, or we can say occur. And performance issues, generally we call it for a main performance issues as CPU, memory, disk, and NIC. And CPU over 80% will receive usually a warning message or warning email, and CPU over 90% we prefer to get the critical alert, and we consider as a high CPU usage. And memory over 80% it can be a warning and 90% means critical alert, and or we can also put the alert description as a high memory usage. Similarly for disk and network interface card. And there is a chances of apart from this up and down and also the performance issues, there will be some other unexpected errors and so on. So in order to resolve all these challenges, what VMware recommend is we have to configure a vCenter alarms. Normally vCenter alarms is specifically to vCenter server, whatever the default alarm or predefined alarms are available, all these alarms we have to configure. And there is another solution that is called VMware vRealize Operations Manager. This is a separate tool. It's available from VMware. Suppose some customers, they want to use a high level over not only the alerts, they also use some additional use cases. Those use cases include they plan to do a reporting, all the virtual infrastructure reporting, and they want to do a complete virtual infrastructure level capacity management. When you plan to do all these additional use cases, instead of vCenter alarms, we can also have a same capabilities in vRealize Operations Manager. But only thing is, it's a separate tool. We have to download and install, download from the VMware website and install on a vCenter environment. And we have to integrate vRealize Operations to vCenter server. But in the later classes at the end of our vSphere sessions, I will plan to give a complete brief overview of vRealize Operations Manager. And some organizations and some customers, they may prefer to go with a third-party tools as well. So here I given a high-level three monitoring tools. See, one is SolarWinds NPM, Network Performance Monitoring, and WhatsApp Gold, Nagios, etc. And this third-party tool also have a similar capable of monitoring the virtual infrastructure. It will also provide when any device is down, it will send a notification, and similarly for performance issues. In our within our virtual infrastructure, either vCenter down or ESXi host down, or if there is any of the virtual machine is not responding or virtual machine is hang, we will immediately receive a email notification when you configure any of these three scenario solutions. Okay, so normally in the real-time scenario, customers choice, some customers they prefer to use vCenter alarm, some customers they prefer to use vRealize Operations Manager, and some customers they prefer to go with a third-party tools. Okay, so in this session I'm going to focus on vCenter alarms. So vCenter alarms. vCenter alarms. Alarms are notification that are activated in response to an event. In any event is happen in our vCenter, we can get notifications. And a set of conditions or the state of an inventory object. Sorry for the typo. Here is the state of an inventory object. And an alarm definition consists of the following elements in the vSphere client. So normally when we plan to create a new alarm, or if you want to use a existing predefined alarms also, each alarm have these elements. Okay, later I will show you all the elements one by one, but this element referred as a name, we have to provide as a one name for the alarm. That name can be like ESXi host down. So ESXi host down means our main element is ESXi host status. That is the name. And description you can mention when the host is down or when the host is up. And that is we have to provide an identifying label and description. And target, here our target is nothing but it defines the type of object that is monitored. Our target object will be our vCenter components, like vCenter we have to monitor, and ESXi host, virtual machine, data store, network, and even within the network also we have a virtual switch, DV switch, and data store. These all considered as a inventory objects and our targets. And alarm rules. While configuring the alarm, we have to set some rules, like when the really device is down or if there is any performance issue, we received a email notification. That is the first condition. And again, when the device is back to normal and performance issue back to normal, we receive another email notification saying that issue resolved. During that time also, it will send a alert. So that same point I highlighted here defines the event condition or state that triggers the alarm and defines the notification severity. That severity can be either critical or warning. It also defines operations that occur in response to the triggered alarms. And the last modified date and time of the defined alarm. Okay, this is the main settings when we plan to configure either new alarm or when we are planning to use the existing predefined alarms. And alarm health states. Alarm health states have the following severity levels. This severity level includes normal. When it is a normal state, by default, the alarm badge color is green color. And the description is that means normal means it is a good state and the health of the object is normal. Suppose if the alarm state is warning, the color represents as a yellow, and the object is experiencing some problems, and we have to resolve those problems. And alarm is showing as alert. Alert means the badge color is red, and the object is either is not functioning properly or will stop functioning soon. And unknown means the color code is gray and no data is available for this object. Object means any of the vCenter inventory object. Now, alarm definition, or we call it as a predefined alarms. Alarm definitions are associated with the object selected in the inventory. To monitor vSphere environment, we can create alarm definitions in the vSphere client. We can access the alarm definitions in the configuration tab. Suppose in this below diagram, if you see that we log into the vCenter server, when we log into vCenter server, either you can select any one of the inventory object. You can select either vCenter, data center, or cluster. We can go to the specific inventory object in the right pane, go to the configuration tab. Under configuration tab, we can look for a alarm definitions. So when you select alarm definition in the right pane, you can find all the alarm names and also the object types. See, object type includes ESXi host, virtual machine, vCenter, network, storage, and so on. All these inventory objects you will find. So the same point I mentioned here. We can access alarm definitions in the configuration tab. The same wizard you can also identify from here when you select vCenter, when you select ESXi host, go to the configuration tab, and you can see the same alarm definition. These alarm definitions are predefined alarms. Okay, and we can edit the predefined alarms and modify settings as needed. Even we have a flexibility to modify all these predefined alarms. And an alarm monitors the type of inventory objects. So as we discussed, inventory objects includes ESXi host, virtual machines, and networks, data stores, etc. And specified in the definition. That can be, we can specify in a object type itself. Okay. Now we're going to verify. Suppose when really alert is generated, that is considered as a triggered alarms. Now we can verify the triggered alarm. Suppose in this diagram, I select the top level vCenter hierarchy and go to the monitor tab, triggered alarms. There is a two triggered alarms. These triggered alarms include vCenter server health alarm, and also it is referred as a object type is folder, and also the another alarm is referred as a vSAN health alarms are suppressed, and also this object type is cluster, and both have a severity is warning. That's why color is yellow color, and trigger time also it is showing. And triggered alarms are visible. Sorry for the typo. Yeah, it's correct typo. Sorry. So triggered alarms are visible in several locations throughout the vSphere client. And triggered alarms, how we can navigate is triggered alarm on a selected inventory object. Suppose here I selected the inventory object as vCenter and click the monitor tab in the right pane. You can go to monitor tab and click on the issues and alarms. When you select click issues and alarms, just drop down, you'll see the tab for a triggered alarms. Okay. Now we'll verify the vCenter alarms home lab. So we have a 9 scenarios to verify the all the vCenters alarm home lab. Let's start with the first one. How we going to create alarm to monitor the host, VMs, events, and conditions. So let me log into the vCenter server. So when we log into our vCenter server, let's enter the username and password. And okay, vCenter server is loading. Okay. See, within our vCenter server, we have a two clusters and four ESXi hosts and four virtual machines. And you can see here there is a two warnings are available. One is vSAN health alarm are suppressed, and also vSAN server health alarm also is generated. Normally, if it is a real alert, we have to resolve this alert message. If it is a safely ignorable warning, what we can do is we have to acknowledge first and then you can reset to green. Okay, that is a recommendation from VMware. Now, if you want to verify the first option, create a new alarm. If you want to create a new alarm to monitor our ESXi host or any of the object, go to the configuration tab, and here we can look for a alarm definitions. So there is a alarm definitions tab. When you select the alarm definition, we have a default alarm name, object type, and also the all are in a enable state. This is one method. Even if you want to send a notification, select the individual alarm and set your email addresses. That is one method. And another method is we have a option to create a custom alarms also. For example, first we'll verify the existing alarm. Here, if you see in this screen, we can find in the below total 296 items are available. That means default VMware is providing a 200 plus, it's close to 300 predefined alarms. So these 300 predefined alarms are more than enough. We can configure a alerting on a existing alarm definition itself. We no need to go for a custom alarm. But still, if you want to create any specific custom alarm also, I will show you one of the lab I will show you for custom alarm. So now let's focus on the existing predefined alarm, how we can send a notification to our customers or any of the other email specific emails. Now, suppose the first alarm it refers as a host connection and power state. That means in any certain conditions, ESXi host connection is having some challenges or ESXi host power state is down or anything, we need to send a notification. So this is the importance of this alarm. So select this alarm, okay, and if you want to edit this alarm definition, click on edit. When you click on edit, the default it's already showing as a host connection state and power state, and the default alarm to monitor the host connection and power state, that is the description. So these 2 points only I explained in a alarm definition time. During the alarms, we have a alarm elements. These all the alarm elements. So definition, alert name, description, target type. So here target type can be, we can choose all your vCenter objects, but for this specific alarm, the actual inventory object is host. Okay, not only host, we can configure for all these inventory objects areas. So here inventory object is host and target where it is stored. This all these hosts are running on a vCenter demo lab. Here it is showing all host. That means this alarm is applicable for all our vCenter ESXi host. We no need to configure specific alarm for individual ESX. When you configure on vCenter top level hierarchy configured for a ESXi host alert, that means this alert is applicable for all whatever the ESX host is running on this vCenter, or for all the hosts this alarm is applicable. Okay, now click on next, and here it's already predefined condition. If the connection state is equal to not responding, and another point, connect the ESXi host power state is not equal to standby, during these scenarios it will send a notification. And then also there is another option is trigger the alarm, even if the alarm is triggered as a show as critical. And if you want a email notification or SNMP traps, or if you want to run any of the script, these options default is disabled. If you want to enable, we have a facility to enable. Suppose if I plan to enable email notification, and this email notification, the subject also it will come automatically like this. And email, if you want to configure any email, suppose I'm giving a gmail.com, but in the real time scenario, we have to provide all our customer necessary emails and also our VMware vSphere technical consultants emails we have to enter here. Okay, all multiple emails we can enter with commas. And this is one method to get notified. And another method is send SNMP traps. SNMP means Simple Network Management Protocol. This SNMP trap also send a notification to our intermediate server, or it will send it to a, if we have any of the ITSM or ServiceNow workstation, ServiceNow machines. It will send SNMP traps to your ITSM machines or ServiceNow machine. This ServiceNow machine, it will take care to generate a automatic incident ticket. This ticket will also send a notification email to your team. This is also another alternative method. Either you can send direct email notification or you can use a SNMP traps. And remember, if you want to configure a email notification, backend we need a SMTP server. SMTP means simple mail transfer protocol server. This server is needed. If you want to configure SNMP trap, we need a backend, we need a ServiceNow servers. That is one example. Not only ServiceNow, you can use any of the other vendors also. If you have a SNMP server, this SNMP server, we should configure some business logics in the existing based on your customer requirement. We have to configure the business logic. That business logic will help you to collect all these SNMP traps, and it will automatically generate a incident ticket and also send a notification to your respective teams. That is the functionality of sending SNMP traps. Normally, some customers, they will set up a SMTP server and they will configure an email. That is one method. And another method, we can use a SNMP traps. And the third method is running the script. Even you can configure some scripting. Even the script also will help you to send a notifications. So depends on your customer's choice, we can choose these options. For example, here today I'm just configuring a email notification, and now click on next. Even within the existing rule, if you want to configure a predefined rule also, there is options to add another rule, or you can duplicate this rule. You can make a copy and you can do the modifications. Now click on next. And here this option is a reset rule. Reset rule means, suppose the first alarm rule refers as a either warning or critical. When the ESX host is down, or it will immediately send a notification. That is the alarm rule 1. And the second rule is reset rule. Reset rule means, suppose the issue is resolved. If the issue is resolved, it will send you another notification with the color code is normal, or it will send you a color code with green. So that scenario, it's already says reset alarm, it will send to green color normal. Even for this one also, we need a email notification. So select email notification and choose one of our customer email. So for in our home lab, I've just selected my email. Now click on next. And finally, this is the review page. In this review page, we can have a alarm name and alarm description, and also the target host is applicable for all the ESX hosts. Whenever ESX host connection state is equal to not responding, or ESX host power state is equal to standby, during these two scenarios, we'll receive a critical alert and color code is red. And when the alarm is reset or alarm is back to normal, when we will receive a normal notification, color code is green. And if you want to enable this alarm, you can just this green button, it should be available. When you enable this one, this alarm is start functioning, and also our customers or our environment, whoever the systems engineer supporting this vCenter, those vCenter system consultant will start receiving the notification email for this alarm only. Okay, so like this, we have to configure a notification for all our alarms. But this 294, 296 events alarms we have here, so depends on your customer's choice. You can choose one by one, and whatever we need a notification, you can select those alarm and configure the email address. But today I'm just showing you a one ESX host object type, how to configure a send email notification. And similarly, suppose in the vCenter level, if you need a email notification for vCenter server, like vCenter server service health status, again select this radio button and click on edit. Default, these options are clearly there. vCenter services health alarm, and click on next. There is a three rules are configured: alarm rule 1, rule 2, rule 3. Let's say rule 1 is status change, and the component ID is equal to vpxt service. So when the service is having some issue and the new status equal to yellow, yellow means there is a warning message. So that time it will show us the warning message. It will send a SNMP trap, or you can choose a email notification and enter your email address here. Okay, and same way for alarm rule 2. Even the alarm rule 2 also, you can choose the status change alert. Here also new alarm status change to orange, and we require a email notification and enter our email address. Whatever email address we enter in the rule 1, it will applicable to C. Actions are same as rule 1 due to the same severity level. Okay, so rule 1 we already given email address. Even this second rule warning message also send it to the same email. Okay, now we can turn off this one, and now it is saying yes. Okay, it will repeat as a same one. Even if you want to remove this alarm rules also, we can remove. That kind of customization is available. Okay, so like this, even if you want to configure for a virtual machine level also, we can configure. Click on next, and there will be so many alarms are available. When you get the spare time, you can just explore all this alarm. Even during our troubleshooting session, I will explain when we really receive a real alarms like this, how we can do a troubleshooting and all. I will cover in the subsequent sessions. Okay, now let's back to the slide. Another point, use a predefined alarms in vCenter. See, just now we use the existing predefined alarms only, and how to send the notification and all, we verified with the sending the emails. And view and acknowledge the alarm. View and acknowledge means, suppose in our vCenter home summary tab, we already noticed the two alarms, or this triggered alarms. How we can verify is, go to the monitor tab, and under the monitor tab there is a issue and alarms. When you expand issue and alarm, you can see triggered alarms. See, this is the two or the triggered alarms. What VMware recommend is, when you have a real alert, you can just select the alarm first and click on acknowledge. When you click on acknowledge, even within your team and customer may know that okay, someone is acknowledged this alarm, they are working on this alarm message. Okay, and this, when this is really resolved this alarm, just select this message reset to green. This is a, because we manually acknowledge, so it will, we have to reset to green. If it is real alarm, when we resolve that issue, it will automatically change it to the green and it will send you a notification. Okay, and same be applicable to other alarm also. Select this alarm and click on acknowledge, or and click on reset to green. So make sure that always all the alarm should be clear. But in our test lab, I just manually did the reset to green. But if it is real alert message, it will clear automatically and send the green or normal notification to our end users. The same point I mentioned here. Use and view and acknowledge alarms. Okay, and create custom alarm. Suppose if you want to create a custom alarm, go to the vCenter and select the top level hierarchy, configure tab. Under configure tab, you can go to the alarm definitions. Under alarm definitions, click on add, and here you can choose your custom names. For example, I'm choosing as a ESXi host status, and select ESXi host status, and description also you can mention all ESXi host status. And the target type is, we have to choose host tab. This is how we can configure the custom alarms. And click on next. See, by default, the rule is nothing was configured. We have to configure the rule. Under if, we have, there is a multiple scenarios. You can configure for access and security. You can configure for accounts, configure for capacity usage, connection state, and you even there is a hardware health status. Suppose I want to configure for a ESXi host hardware health status. Select hardware health status, and if this condition is applied, then trigger the alarm. Alarm severity we have to choose. See, severity as a show as warning, show as critical, and keep the target's current status. Any option we can choose. Suppose I choose the target as a show as critical. When we show as critical and we need a email notification, so send the email notification enable, and you can enter the email address here. So here I enter the email address. Now click on next and reset. Even when the alert is hardware status is back to normal, we need a email notification. So select the trigger, which condition we configure the alarm, the same condition we need to choose at the reset alarm as well. So our condition we select as a hardware health. So we can choose the same hardware health here, and the reset alarm is set to the normal. Okay, and send the email notification, choose the email notification, click on next, and here is the review page. So whatever we have in the predefined alarm, the same options are applicable when we are creating a custom alarms also. So custom alarm means we created manually. So yes, success host status and a description we entered, and target is within our vCenter we have 4 ESX hosts. All these 4 ESX hosts, this alarm is applicable. And alarm rule is configured. It is a critical, and the reset rule will be normal. And now click on create. So when you click on create, it says that this ESX host status rule is already exist. Okay, if during this scenario, we'll modify the name. Let's say ESXi host hardware health status. Okay. So when we configure as ESXi host hardware health status, and we can use the same description, and target type is select as host. Click on next. Alarm rule we planning to choose for a hardware health status. So select your scenario of hardware health, and the severity is critical. Send the notification. Now click on next. And we also need a scenario for reset, and choose the same condition. Likewise, we can do the multiple scenarios also. Okay. Now click on next. This is the review page. Click on create. So now it is created. To verify this option, newly created one, just sort out with the alarms and look for our starting letter is E, ESX. So just let's start with the alphabetical order, and we'll go to the first page. See, first page alarm starts with alphabet letter A. So A, B, C, D, E. Next, we'll look for a E series. So here we configure the alarm as ESXi host hardware health status. This is our custom alarm, and we created just now. Today's date it is showing. Now select this alarm, click on edit. You see, you will find all these options. So just now we configured. So likewise, we can create a custom alarms. So now let's verify the another point. Trigger the host and VM alarm. So this trigger option where we can verify is log into the vCenter, select your production cluster, any inventory object you can select, go to the monitor tab, trigger and alarms. We can see the actual really triggered alarms in this tab. Okay. And another point, so disable the vCenter alarms. If you want to disable the vCenter alarm, go to the configure tab again, and under configuration tab you can go to the alarm definitions. Suppose if you don't want any of the alarm, for example the inventory object is virtual machine, the virtual machine locked alarm we no need. So select the specific alarm, and we have an option to disable. Currently this is enable state, we can disable. Here these options are grayed out. Reason is I selected as a production cluster. Normally these all the can manage from a top level hierarchy. Go to the top level hierarchy and configure tab. Here it will can be, we have an option to enable or disable. For example, there is one alert is for a host storage status or host TPM attestation alarm. So select this one, and there is a options are highlighted. Okay, but in the below inventory object, these options are not available. Always remember to select the top level hierarchy, and here only we have a edit disable option. Suppose currently the state is enabled. If you want to disable, click on disable. This alarm state is disable state. Okay, so this point I covered here. Disable the vCenter alarm. And vCenter storage monitoring. If you want to monitor your vCenter storage, here the option is within our vCenter inventory, we have a host and clusters view, VMs and templates view. This is the VMs and templates view, and data store view. So this data store view, when you select your data center and go to the summary tab, we can see how many data stores we have. Totally 5 data stores. But in the real time scenario, they may have hundreds of data stores. All these hundreds of data store, if you want to monitor the vCenter storage monitoring, the right pane we have a monitor tab. So go to the monitor tab. Under the monitor tab, you can see the alerts for a issues and alarms. If there is any storage issues, we can monitor from issues tab. And if there is any real alarm is generated, you will find from a triggered alarms tab. This is how we can monitor all the data stores. Either you can monitor top level data center level, or you can select the individual data stores also. There is a tab available for monitor. You can choose all issues triggered alarms from this tab. Okay. But instead of going for individual data store, best way is to select the top level hierarchy and go to the monitor tab. You can see all the triggered alarms here. Okay, specifically to the data store. This is how we can monitor the vCenter storage monitoring and vCenter hardware monitoring. Even for vCenter hardware monitoring, we can monitor from here two methods. Suppose you can monitor from select the vCenter top level hierarchy, monitor tab, and you can see here. Okay, but here I selected the tab is vCenter tab, not the data store tab. Okay, this is one method. And even if you want monitor vCenter all the networking also, go to networking tab, you can see the monitor tab, you can see the monitoring alert. This is one method. And another way of vCenter hardware monitoring is we can log into the vCenter WAMI page. WAMI page means vCenter appliances management interface page. Our page is like we can access through 5480 port. So go to the 5480 port. When we go to the 5480 port, we need to log in with root and password. When we log into vCenter WAMI page also, from the WAMI page also we have a vCenter health status. Here you can see overall health status. Status is showing as good. Okay, and the CPU, memory, database, storage, swap, all the state is showing as good. And even single sign-on service also running state. This is also another method of monitoring a vCenter hardware monitoring. You can monitor from WAMI page, or you can monitor from a normal vCenter administration page, login with a vSphere client. So that is the option I'm showing here, vCenter hardware monitoring and vSphere service status and alarms. So service status means suppose in our vCenter server, you can monitor services from a WAMI page only. From the WAMI page, there is a monitor tab. From the monitor tab, you can see the CPU and memory performance graphs. Its graphs are available for last hour, last day, last week, and all. Until the last year, we can see. Even if you want to see the past data, VMware recommend that send all the information to your syslog server. One of the VMware syslog server name is vRealize login site. From there also you will get all this monitoring performance information. And same way applicable to disks, all the vCenter server disk and also the vCenter network and vCenter database. This is all you can see from your monitor tab. And when it comes to the vSphere service status means there is a separate tab for services. Using the services tab, you can see all the startup type automatic should be in a health state. And at any certain condition, one vSphere service is down, you will send an email notification. When you receive that email notification, select the specific service. For example, content library service is not running. Select that service. On top below, we have an option to restart and set the startup type. These options are available. Even if you want to stop and start also, we can perform using the services tab. So similarly for all other vCenter, vSphere services. Okay, and there is some additional options. I think these options we talk about during our earlier sessions: networking, firewall, time configuration, and also the update and administration tab, syslog tab. Yeah, syslog tab we can configure here. So here we can send all our vCenter logs to any of the syslog server. You can use any third-party Kiwi's syslog server, or you can use VMware official syslog server, which is vRealize login site. And we can also send the vCenter server backup to any of the external backup tool, like you can use Vim backup or Commvault, any of the other backup tools. Okay, so we covered the vSphere service status and also alarms. So these all the 9 labs, but in the alarm create notification, I just show you that a couple of alarms with interest of our time. So if you want to send the notification for all the 200 plus alarm, you can select one, individually one by one alarm and enter your team email address. The procedure is same. So hope you understand the vCenter alarms concept and also the our lab. And same way, now we'll talk about another vSphere feature, which is vCenter certificate management now. So vCenter certificate management, this is also one of the feature, but in our previous vCenter 6 edition, certificate management also one of the critical tasks. But now when comes to the vSphere 7, the certificate management concept is completely simplified. We no need to do any of the additional certificate renewals. As per VMware recommendation, certificate management, whatever the trusted certificate and root certificate are provided, this is more than enough. We can maintain the all existing certificates only. But some organization, due to security and compliance, they prefer to use a third party certificate. During that scenario, as a vSphere administrator, we have to learn how we can renew and how we can replace the existing vCenter certificates. Okay, so that portion we can discuss now. And vCenter distributes with an internal certificate authority. Certificate authority, in short form, we call it as CA, and called the VMware Certificate Authority. Issues certificates for VMware components. So VMware component means it will provide you certificates for a ESXi host and also the virtual machines. Under its personal authority in vSphere ecosystem and runs as part of infrastructure identity core service group. So this core service group consists of mainly three service group. One is directory service, certificate service, and authentication framework. And VMware CA issues certificate only to clients that present credentials from VM directory in its own identity domain. And it also posts its root certificate to its own server node in VMware directory services. Okay, and these three core services I will cover in the following slide. And VMware CA Certificate Authority Core Service Group. So VMware Directory Service, Certificate Service, and Authentication Framework. Normally, VMware Directory Service mainly focus on a single sign-ons, and the Certificate Service is mainly for you to own the server node of in a directory services, and Authentication Framework Service is taking care of all our external VMware endpoint certificate stores. Okay, that is a high-level overview. And now VMware CA management tools. So VMware CA have some default management tools inside the vCenter server. We no need to install any tool manually. It's vCenter itself. It have a default tool which is called CA-certool and DAR-CLI. That means directory command line interface, and VMware VCS CLI. That means VMware endpoint certificate store CLI command line interface. These tools also available. A set of CLIs allows management of VMware CA and VMware End Set Point Store and also the directory service are available. So this all how it is running means backend using these management tools. So this management tools will help you to create, delete, list and manage, and we can also assign your permissions to some of the key stores. Okay, now we'll verify this management tool where these management tools are defaultly located. This VMware CA management tools, by default tools are located in the following locations. Our vCenter is a Photon based Linux operating system, and the default location is USR directory. Under the library directory, we have a folder for VMware hyphen VMAFD, and this under this directory we'll have a subdirectory is bin. Under bin we'll find these two tools, and for set tool there will be a path is changed again user lib VMware hyphen VMCA certificate authority bin CA-certool. Suppose if you want to verify these paths, just log into the vCenter server using SSH mode. SSH mode means our shell access should be enabled state. Let's say SSH is enabled and direct console interface also enable. If you want to enable bash shell also, you can enable here. Click OK. Okay. Now minimize here, open the our SSH session putty and type our vCenter server IP 192.168.10.80. When we type our vCenter server IP and login as root and password. Let me increase the font here. So when we log into the SSH session and type shell, when you type shell, it will launch the bash. Okay, so I just type the shell. Now it is in the Bash prompt means you will see the hash symbol. So now whatever the VMware CA tools are available, we'll go to the specific path. I think that path I copied to our notepad. Yeah, this is the notepad path. So let me copy this path. The first path is, this is the path. So actually this is the tool. We cannot go to this tool. I'm just going to the bin directory, copy this until this directory. And here you can type the command is cd change directory to this path. Now press enter. So the directory is changed from normal root directory to it's changed to this directory path. Now you can type the command ls. Ls means list. It will show you all the list of tools are available here. You can see the tool VCSCLI. The tool is available here, certificate authority tool. And same way we have other tool is directory CLI. The tool also available here, directory CLI. Okay, but if you want to verify the another cert tool, that path is changed. So you can just copy this path. And here, if you want to back to the same directory, type cd. So we already back to the root directory. Now again change the directory, cd space. You can enter this path. Now press enter. So now we are under the VMCA, VMware Certificate Authority / bin directory. Now here you can type ls. When you type ls, you can see multiple tools. So one of the main tool we are using is CertTool. CertTool is available in this path. Okay. And suppose if you want to verify the CertTool configuration, this configuration also there is a separate path here. So go to this directory. So you can just type cd, can clear this path and again type cd space and this path. So this is a VMware-VMCA / share. So when you type share, press enter. Now type again list. When you type list, you will see the config path. Okay. To verify this config file, you can type like a cat space, seems to be, yeah, cat space config. Now enter. So config is a directory only. So directory means you can again change the directory cd space config and type ls. When you type ls, you will find a set tool configuration file. Suppose if you want to view this configuration file, in order to view that, you can type the command cat space and set a tool. Press tab and you can see the cat space set tool.cfg and press enter. You will see this configuration file default information. This template file for a CSR request and it is needed certificate needed to be 2 characters. There is a default options like countries US CA. These are default VMware certificates because we downloaded vCenter's appliance from a VMware website. So it is pointed to the US only. Okay. But these certificates and all, VMware says that we can always modify these cert tools. Okay, but we haven't modified in our home lab. We are using a default vCenter server certificates only. Let's minimize the same path we verified just now. And another slide, the whatever the configuration file we verified, that path is I highlighted here. CertTool uses a configuration file called certtool.cfg, and we verified this default path also. Okay, and now we'll talk about a certificate deployment options. So certificate deployment, we have two options. We can deploy using a VMware CA certificates and third-party certificates also available. So these options where we can see is log into vCenter server. When we log into vCenter server using normal vSphere client, so go to your administration tab. Under the administration tab, there is a tab called certificate management. Okay, so in this certificate management, just wait for a second, it will load all the certificates. See, these are all the default certificates. Okay, I show you again. Log into vCenter server, go to administration tab. Under administration tab, certificate, select certificate management. You will find all these default certificates. So these certificates are machine SSL certificate, VMware certificate authority, and STS signing certificate. And not only this, we also have additional trusted root certificate also available. And these certificates, if you want to modify anything, go to the actions tab. We have a renew option. import and replace the certificate option and generate certificate signing request. Normally we'll maintain a default certificates only, but sometime if any customer requested for a certificate renewal using any third party certificate, that time only we have to modify all this machine SSL and also the certificate authority. Issue a new leaf certificate, and also here STS have a refresh or import and replace the certificate. These options are available. And but when comes to trusted root certificate, we can only view, there is no modification option, but we have a facility to add a other new certificates. Even if you integrate with any of the VMware integrations like vRelay operations, NSXT, any of other VMware component, when you integrate with vCenter also, all integrated certificate also you can find in this tab only. Okay, these points only I highlighted here. See, we can use certificates that VMware CA assigned to vSphere component as is. The certificate are stored in the VMware endpoint certificate store on each machine. And VMware CA is a certificate authority, but because all certificates are signed by VMware certificate authority itself, the certificate don't include a certificate chain. There is no certificate chain. And third party certificates with VMware CA. We can use third party certificate with VMware CA. VMware CA becomes an intermediary in the certificate chain that the third party certificate is using. Okay, and VMware CA provisions vSphere components that we add to the environment and certificate that are signed by the full chain. When you are using a third party, it will be like a full chain, but default one is like a not, doesn't include certificate chain. And administrators are responsible for replacing all certificate. We verified just now how we can replace. Go to the actions tab and we can replace that are already in our environment with new certificates. Okay, now we'll verify the VMware CA best practices. So best practices, mainly the VMware recommend that replacement of certificate is not required to have trusted connections. Okay, official VMware recommendation is not recommend to replace any existing certificates. So VMware CA is a CA, and therefore all certificate used by vSphere components are fully valid and trusted certificates. And addition of the VMware CA as trusted root certificate will allow SSL warnings to be eliminated. If there is any SSL warning, we can safely ignore. And integration of VMware CA to an existing CA infrastructure should be done in secure environment, and this allows root certificate to be replaced. Okay, so normally for when we are using any integration portion, that time only this root certificate to be replaced, and such as it acts as a subordinate CA to the existing infrastructure. Okay, so this is a high level overview of VMware certificate authority feature information. And now we'll do the home lab. So home lab, review the VMware certificate management. We know how we can verify the certificate management. We can verify from a login to vCenter certificate management. We can see certificate management. This is how we can review the certificate management. And VMware CA management tools. So management tools we verified from the command line. When you go to this default prompt, you can see the certificate management tools. Certificate management tools are directory CLI and also the VECS CLI and CA-certool. Okay, we validated the certificate management tools, and also VMware CA-certool configuration file. So configuration file, how we can verify? We can go to the specific path under the config. So when we go to user lib VMware-VMCA share config, when you type ls, you will find a certool.cfg. CFG means configuration file, and to view this configuration file, and you can type cat space certool.cfg. So this cat is like a only to view this file. Suppose if you want to modify this file, we have to use VI editor to help you to modify the configuration file. Just in case if you want to modify any information on the default file, we can use that. Okay, but in general, VMware recommend that it's not recommend to modify or replace the existing certificates. We can okay to maintain the existing certificates. So that's it for today. We have verified the mainly the two vSphere features. That is, one feature is covers as a mainly for vCenter alarms, and we verified the vSphere storage monitoring and hardware status monitoring, and also the certificate authority. So let's open our checklist. So as per our checklist, I think I already highlighted today's session one. This is the one. See, storage monitoring and all. Storage monitoring we covered today, hardware status and vSphere service status, and also we covered the certificate management. Okay, let's make this as a green. So we covered these three concepts as well as certificate management. The remaining global inventory, host profile, lifecycle manager, and these five concepts I will cover in the later session. Once we cover these five concepts, we'll go to the some advanced features. Okay, and if you're interested, once our vSphere concepts are completed, we'll go with some advanced concepts like network virtualization means NSXT, and automation, we release automation. For enterprise Kubernetes, we'll start with a Tanzu, and if our time permits, we'll go with a Red Hat OpenShift SUSE Rancher, because already Kubernetes is booming. We have to learn enterprise Kubernetes also required for our skill set. And once all the infrastructure is ready, there is another important concept is how we are going to provide a modern data protection, or we can take a backup of any of the third party tool. So based on my knowledge, we'll use some of the backup tools also. I given some examples of Veeam backup and replication, Commvault and Veritas Net backup. Not only this, there are plenty of backup tools. So whatever I have the hands-on experience, I will cover in the following sessions. Okay. Once we finish vSphere, we'll go to the all other topics. Okay, so thanks for your time. Thanks for listening. And also, I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone who is doing the Gnan Cloud Garage, and thank you for all your support, and thanks for your all subscriptions. Okay, and keep watching, keep listening. If you have any questions, let me know your questions. Either you can send the email or you can let me know through our YouTube comments. Okay, have a nice day. Thank you so much.